Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. A while back, we talked about liberalism and its dangers, and I gave specific examples. It's been a long time ago. And I want to talk about it today because we covered the California latest legislation signed into law by Jerry Brown that essentially said if you have HIV, you can pass it along, no big deal. And they say now that the antivirals and the drugs are so good, it's no longer a death sentence. Nobody cares. Okay, whatever. And they don't even have to tell you if they donate blood that they have HIV. Now, I don't know how they tested, but I will tell you this. If I'm hurt in California, put me on what do they call those, medevacs? Medevac me over to a surrounding state. I don't want blood in California. Oh, Kevin, you're a homophobic. No, I'm not. I'm an HIV-ophobic. I don't want your blood. Unless you test for HIV and you can tell me with certain, there are people that during the whole thing, they would store their own blood. You can only store your blood for so long. You can't store it. It's not like it keeps forever. So there are people that go and store their own blood. They're like, if I get in a wreck, no, sorry, you better don't use nobody else's blood. So I don't blame them. That doesn't make you homophobic. That makes you smart. But I couldn't believe they passed that law. And then, and we'll talk about this another time, but they passed a law that you got to talk with certain pronouns or you could go to jail. We'll talk about that stuff. This is crazy California. Liberalism, folks, is dangerous to your health. Look at the Weinstein story and tell me liberalism's not dangerous. The most powerful liberals in the country surrounding this guy. Media. Everybody knowing what he's doing and turning a blind eye. Why? Because he makes good films. He seems like he gives money to our charities. He gives money to all these liberal causes. He's got to be a good guy. Let me tell you something, folks. Liberals hide behind their good deeds. They don't do them because they want to do good deeds. They do them so that they can be allowed to do all the nonsense that they really want to do. That's why they do it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not letting you in on anything you don't already know, I would think. Liberalism is dangerous. One of the talking points that was used to pass Obama's health care bill was the number 45,000. The number of Americans who supposedly die each year due to a lack of health insurance. But far more people are killed each year, folks, by liberals. I guarantee you. Blood flows on the highways every year because of liberals and some of the things that they did, and they completely dismiss it. In 1975, Congress decided to take action to the 1973 oil embargo by enacting what they call the Corporate Average Fuel Economy program. It's called CAFE. And the goal of the program was to lower our dependence on foreign oil. And because I don't know if you guys were, some of you were, many of you were. I remember waiting in these gas lines with my grandparents. It was silly. We'd wait there and creep up a little bit here and there. Everybody turn their engines off because you want to waste gas. You fill up, and everybody didn't get to fill up. I'll never forget it. So they didn't like that feeling, so we passed the CAFE standards, and it worked because thousands of motorists have had their need for foreign oil reduced because of the legislation, because they're dead. See, a 1999 USA Today analyst took note of the data and estimated from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and Institute for Highway Safety, and then he found that in the years since the CAFE standards were mandated, under the Interstate Policy and Conservation Act of 1975, about 46,000 people have died in crashes that could have survived if they had been traveling in a bigger, heavier car. That's it. Liberals want us to believe that 45,000 people dying from a lack of health insurance is enough reason to enact a massive health care reform, but at the same time, they refuse to consider lowering the cafe standard because they want to make them stricter, in fact, and that's going to result in more debts. I don't know if you've seen these smart cars. They're pretty small. When I was in Paris, and I knew this already, but you go there and these cars are little. Now they have some luxury cars, but most of the cars are postage stamp cars. They're to get you to and from the post office or to and from, a restaurant or some district. These cars, if they're 10 feet long, how long are these cars? They got to be 7 feet, 8 feet long. They're so tiny. You've seen them. If that car rams into the back of somebody, you're dead. If somebody rams you in the back, you're dead. It's nothing. Look, I'm not going to belabor the point. You get what I'm saying. We used to have these big old deuce and the quarters. Diamond in the back, sunroof top, digging the scene with my gangster lean. Big old Lincoln Continentals and Cadillacs. And you didn't get hurt. Now, look, I'm not saying don't go make some strides and take weight out of the car. I think that's the evolution of everything, right? We've made TVs small enough to carry. A 56-inch TV, enough to be put up on your or 60-inch, put up on your wall for a home theater. Heck, you can practically fold that thing up and stick it in your pocket. I mean, we've done it. 50 pounds a TV weighs now. Man, I remember I bought a big Sony one time. And if I'm lying, I'm dying. That TV must have weighed 300 pounds. It took 3 dudes to get that TV. And I remember we got to the second floor and my friends were like, dude, we got to go another floor? It's like, yep. Anyway, thousands of people killed because of cafe standards. 2,000 people die a year, estimate, because of cafe standards. And liberals don't concern themselves at all. They're justifiable deaths because it's all to save the planet from the ravages of global climate insanity, right? I talked the other day when we were talking about this HIV thing that leftists, they are the reason that 1 million people died of AIDS versus, a few 100,000. They're the reason. And I gave you the numbers. In 1983, there were 1,500 cases of AIDS diagnosed in America, but the rate of infection was doubling every month. And the gay rights community started this campaign of intimidation. They didn't want you to label AIDS as sexually transmitted because it was only being given out by guys. Guys were getting it. Gay guys. So they said, don't do that. And they started a whole program around it. Sex doesn't cause AIDS. A virus does. And so suddenly the marketing of AIDS was that, no, it's not them. It's not their lifestyle. So gay bathhouses continue to operate. Men were having unprotected sex with up to 10 men a night. Liberals were concerned about the political backlash of these facts. It was easier to blame Ronald Reagan for committing genocide against gay people by not funding AIDS research than it was to close the bathhouses. Than it was to say to young gay men, look, you're the reason this is spreading. You gotta stop. It was too politically incorrect for them to talk about what was really going on in their community, so they chose to sacrifice over 1 million men. And now we lose, 14,000, 15,000 people a year to AIDS, a disease we knew nothing about years ago. I mean, in terms of, it wasn't like mainstream. How many lives could they have saved? What about black on black liberalism? So 70% of kids born to blacks are illegitimate. It wasn't always like this, though. In 1880, Philadelphia, 75% of black families had 2 parents. New York, circa 1925, illegitimacy rate among blacks, 15%. By 1940, the rate was still only 19%. And when liberals took action in the 1960s, the illegitimacy rate was 22%. But this intervention had dire consequences in the black community. The lack of a father has a profound effect on a child. And Glenn Sachs said this: "You're 5 times more important in predicting teen use, drug use, than any other sociological factor, including income and race. Having a father." But today, black males make up almost half the prison population. Of all the murders in 2007, 43% were black. Close to 93% of the time, blacks kill other blacks, but they don't want to take credit for this. 40 years of lives have done what 400 years of slavery couldn't do: destroyed the black family. Thomas Sowell said it: "The black family which survived slavery, discrimination, poverty, wars, depression began to come apart as the federal government began programs to help." How many blacks have died because of lack of fathers in their children's lives? Huh? Thousands, I guarantee you. We'll be back.
Kevin Jackson
on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.